All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our session, How to Conduct Your Data Orchestra with Tableau Prep. Before we gonna dive into Tableau Prep, I have a question for you. Imagine this is your car. A beautiful Aston Martin DB9. What would you like to do with it? It's a question from me to you. I will come down a little bit. So, what would you like to do with it?
I think you picked the wrong person because I don't drive.
We should have practiced this.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Lady, do you drive?
Not really.
I'm in the wrong corner. Yeah? Only bikes or?
Oh, I drive. I
Great.
take it for a great long drive through the Autobahn.
A great long drive on the Deutsche Autobahn. Of course. Yeah, without any speed limits. Great. That's exactly what I expected. And yeah, this is what you want to do. Drive it. But imagine that every time you touch this car, 80% of the time, you're not driving this car. You're washing your car. That's weird. That's very weird. But this isn't weird in the world of data. Regarding a research from Harvard Business Review, 80% of the time, analysts are not having the beauty of analyzing their data. They are not experiencing the analyzing of data. They are preparing data. And preparing can be quite boring and also a lot of work. Wouldn't it be great if we can turn this around, that 80% of the time you will be analyzing data in Tableau, of course, and only 20% of the time you will be preparing data, but also that preparing data will be fun. This is the reason why we developed Tableau Prep. So, if you look to the car, it's like a car wash. It's easy, it's quick, and it's repeatable. And this is what Tableau Prep is. So before we gonna tell you all about Prep, because we want to go with you through the fundament of Tableau Prep, and you will learn about Tableau Prep and what it can mean for you, I want to introduce, where are you, Daniel? Oh, you're there. You were here, but now you're there. Daniel is from Sweden, the beautiful country of Sweden. And yeah, if you think about Sweden, yeah, what do you think about? Is there anyone who thinks about something? Yeah.
Strumming, that's a good one.
What?
It's the fish, the small fish.
Oh, the small fish.
I can.
Okay. It could also be Stockholm, or the beautiful nature. But the first thing I think about is the Eurovision Song Contest. You are so good in the Eurovision Song Contest. So back in 1974, you had ABBA. It was amazing, the start of their amazing career, and you kept on repeating the success on and on and on. And after ABBA, in 1975, the Netherlands, my country, they won with a song nobody knows, Ding a Dong. And then I have been sitting with my children and my wife for years and years and years in front of the television. We never won. And then, this year, in the end, it was a close finish between Sweden and the Netherlands. And finally, after 44 years, we won. Yeah. Finally, after all these years. But Daniel, a little bit about you. So, Daniel, yeah, you were born in Sweden and you went to university and your first job was at the biggest IT company in the world, in Stockholm. And then you decided to see more of the world and you decided to move to the big city of London. And in London, you work for another IT company, but in a specific moment in time, he said, okay, I want to stay in London, but I want to go back a little bit to my roots. So let's go work for a Swedish BI vendor. Starting with a Q, maybe you heard about it. And yeah, you have been working there for many years, and you learned a lot about the world of data and all kind of things. So you're very experienced in building data and scripting and that kind of things. And but yeah, we're so glad you are now part of the Tableau family. And it's great to have you here, and I really enjoy working with you. You're at Tableau now for over a year, serving the UK enterprise customers. So, Daniel, anything to add about yourself?
Sorry. No, I think that's enough about me.
We're in
it
Europe.
certainly made me feel better about myself. But over to you, Henk. Henk is from Netherlands, and I had the pleasure of living in Netherlands for half a year studying, and it's a beautiful country for sure, with all of the windmills and the beautiful landscape that you have. But I think the best thing I enjoyed with Holland is the variety of pancakes.
These are good.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely. About Henk, Henk started his career in software development back in time before he moved into the world of BI in 1998. And since then, he's been working with some of the leading vendors in this space. He's very experienced in areas such as OLAP, ETL, data modeling and preparation. And a few years back, he made the wise decision to move to Tableau.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact, you told me a lot about that, and he fell in love with visual analytics and the world of Tableau. And here's Henk with his beautiful daughter in that Aston Martin.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
Yeah.
You tell us.
Yeah, this is me sitting in the Aston Martin you saw in the first slide.
Yeah.
This was my car. Yeah, you're jealous. I know you're you're jealous. Yeah. Yeah. The good news is, yes, this was my car. The bad news is just one day. This was a gift for one day from my company. So when we reached our target, the sales manager said, everyone in the company will be allowed to drive the Aston Martin for one day. So it happened to be, I was driving in this car for one day. I was a hero, everyone was waving to me. Oh, it was really a pleasure. And I will tell you a little bit more about it later on. Enough about us. We're in Europe still, so let's talk about prep. What will we do? We will tell you all about the fundament of Tableau Prep. That's very important. What is it? And what can it mean for you? What can you do with it? And how to get it? And in the end of the session, we will have a little bit of time to ask questions. So, back to the world of data preparation. It is a challenge. If you have been data prepping, you know it's a challenge. It's hard, it's boring, and there are many ways. And what I've seen in the past are, you can see 3 ways of data preparation in general. First of all, and on the left, our friend Excel. Yeah, again, he's back. Not only for building dashboards, but also for data prepping. Yeah, you can do everything with Excel, of course. But is this the best way? I don't think so. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of manual work, it's hard to repeat. Yeah, so yeah. It's better to repeat if you build a script in the middle. But that's quite technical, you have to code. And then, that's much better, you can model it using an ETL tool. I've been using a lot of ETL tools, and I can tell you, it's very technical. In the end, you're also writing SQL code and that kind of things. It's IT stuff. So wouldn't it be great if we have the power of ETL, repeatability of scripts, but for the business, that the business is able to data prep in a much, much, much better way, repeatable way, easy way, without any coding. And this is possible thanks to the 3 pillars of Tableau Prep. We have 3 pillars: the visual pillar, smart and integrated. And we will go through these 3 pillars with you. So first of all, the visual pillar. I see a blink in your eyes, Daniel. I think you want to tell all about the visual pillar with us.
Yes, thank you. We're going to talk about the visual aspect of Tableau Prep as a beginning. And we have prepared a set of data that we're going to be using for, is that fine? For demoing the product today. The question we want to answer today with the demo data is the following. What country has the highest crime rate in Europe? So we're going to get to that point towards the end of this session.
Hold on.
Yeah.
What country has the highest crime rate? Just a check.
Let's have a guess.
Yeah. Where are you from?
Ireland.
Ireland. Okay. Is that a European country?
Yes, it is.
It is, yes. Sorry. I'm Dutch. Yeah, really bad jokes. So, do you think it's a safe country?
No.
No.
Parts of it are, but...
Yeah. And you?
I'm from Germany, and I think it's a safe country.
We will see. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah, so this is the question we want to answer today. The way we're going to do this is we have collected some data from the European Commission. We have a number of different data sets that we're going to put together with Prep. And in the first instance, you will see us cleanse that data. So Tableau Prep is almost like your washing machine. You throw the data in and you can perform a number of different tasks to clean up that data. And also combining data sets together is really easy to do with the tool. And eventually we will get to the point where we can visualize that data and answer the question, hopefully. What I would suggest, and the number 1 recommendation from me to you today, is to think about these steps as we go through them and how you could potentially implement some of it at your workplace. What are some of those data challenges that you have, and how could you solve that with a similar solution and techniques that we're going to be using today? Okay. So this is Tableau Prep Builder. This is a client you install to start with your preparation. On the right-hand side, we have the discovery pane. So once you install Tableau Prep for the first time after this session, hopefully, you can go to this site and you have the direct links to the training and additional resources that you may want to use to get started. And also, we have sample flows coming with the tool when you're installing it. So even if you don't have your own data set ready for business use, you can still get started and use some of the demo sets and try it out. Finally, before that, you need to expand the left-hand side where you see the connections. Your data may reside on a file or on a server, on a cloud, on-premise. Regardless, there is a number of different ways of connecting to that data, and you can do that directly from Prep as well. As a data set, as I said, we have a number of different ones. I'm going to just drag and drop this Excel file with some of my data in it. We can have a look at things. So there are 3 main sections. The top is your overview of the entire data flow and what you have done. The middle section is where you have the profile of the data, so you can see time, crime, number of crimes, and the country codes in this example. And this is where you can perform a lot of different tasks and actions, and you can constantly see what's happening with your data in the lowest part where that data grid where the sample of your data is shown. Okay. So as I will be looking through this data set now, I can immediately see an outlier. There are some null values. And when I'm selecting those null values, I can see where that data is in terms of its relationship to the other parts of my data set. So we see that it's coming mostly from sexual crime as assault or violence. and it's also related to the country code of BA. So you can immediately see the variety and understand where that data comes from. And if I don't want this, I can really easily right-click and exclude that. So there's no function that I need to write, a lot of drag and drop and a lot of right-clicks, and you'll see that it's really easy to create filters and other sort of tasks here. So that looks fine now. I have my data, so I want to go ahead and add an additional data set. This is for some other years of crime rates across the European countries. So we can have a look at that. So I'm just adding a step. For those of you who didn't see what I just did, at every stage, you can add a step or an aggregation, a pivot, join, union, and so on. The step is the most common one when you want to cleanse your data. So a similar table to the other one, we have different years. So one of the things we want to do is to describe at every stage what we are actually doing. And this is really useful for us when we go back to the data model later on at some point, or if we are sharing this with other people in the organization and they want to understand what you have been doing at that particular step. Maybe they want to change it or reuse it for other purposes. So at this stage, I have my data for 2008 to 11. And here we got 2012 to 16. So I'm going to drag one of my tables on top of the other, and you can see on the screen that there are a few options coming up, union and joins. And it's a simple drag and drop to create that union. And for those of you who are not familiar with the union, I'm just appending the data set I have from one to the other, creating more rows. This is possible because we have the same similar columns in the data set, so they match in that sense. So now this is really good because I can see where my data comes from through this union. The inputs, 2008-11, and the other one, have also been given colors. So we make it visually easy to follow and see where the data is coming from when it goes together here. So when I'm looking at the new data set now, or table, I can see, for example, that the crimes have the blue and orange color. So again, really eye-friendly and easy to see and understand what's going on. However, time and year didn't match up because of the different names. And that's easy for me to see instantly in this case. But imagine if you have a very wide table, right? You have 20 or 30 columns, and you're trying to do something similar to this. Would you be easily see that outlier? Probably not. But that's why you want to use the tick box here to say, show only mismatched fields. And this is best practice. You want to do that at this step, to see where the match didn't happen. And I know that time and year is the same thing, it's just the years. So we can drag and drop one on top of the other, and now we don't have a mismatch anymore. We can double check that, and we can see that now we have only a column of years. So this is great. Again, we'll see that we have a new field here called table names, just simply describing where the data is coming from. It's not so useful for me, so I'm going to just say, remove that for me. At the next step, I want to think about the user-friendliness of this data. The country codes are not so great for business use, to understand the data in relation to the countries. So we want to add more context now to the data set we have. And similar to the previous steps, we can take that data and move it into prep. I have a set of data that describes all country codes with the actual name. And I'm going to go ahead and drag that on top of the rest of my data, and this time do a join. Okay, what is a join? Basically, if you're in an Excel world, you would call this a VLOOKUP, but effectively what I'm doing is to match my data set based on the common country codes and adding on the description of country names to the rest. Now, if you are a person less technical than Henk, someone like myself, who doesn't have necessarily that technical background with ETL and coding, because that's not where I'm coming from. I came more from the business side into BI. I always found joins and unions a little bit intimidating, because if you think about it, you do something, you need a piece of code, and then you have to run through all of that process, output the data, and then you can try to visualize it and see what happened. Sometimes you can't even do it by yourself, right? So you have to ask someone else, maybe IT, and 6 weeks later you have the answer, right? And if it went wrong, then you have to wait another 6 weeks to get an amendment to that. It's not always a great process. So here, I now can see some really interesting insights. So first of all, I can see that the join clause is based on the country code, and that's because of the same names. And the join type is a inner join, right? So I can, if I want, I can select the circles and visually change the type of join that I'm doing. I can see exactly what I'm actually doing in terms of join. So I'm going to keep it as an inner join in this case. And lower down, and that's the most useful part for me, is where you can see the actual results of the join. What happened? So I've actually excluded 100 rows of my offenses data. And I want to know what that data is. And I can click on that. And with that click, I now see what data set I've excluded. It's all related to Netherlands.
It's too bad. Yeah.
So we can, again, use a similar functionality to before. Just have a look at those mismatched fields. And here we go. It's not that complicated, but still mess things up for us. We have NL in one set, and then in the other set, it was NL, NL. So we just need to change that. And I can type in the change, go and hit enter, and it's done. So I'm actually changing the values in my step, rewriting those values at every row. And now, if you look back at the join results, there is no more exclusions. Finally, there will be one more thing that I want to do, adding another step. We can see the years are from the 2008 to 2016. And for today's analysis, we just want to have the data for the current decade. The way I can do that is to just say that I want to create a filter. I don't need to write the calculation in this case, because there is those automatic ones that gives me the range of the years available. And if you have used Tableau Desktop, you probably recognize this. There is a lot of similarities and integrations between the two tool sets. I can use this slider now to just say, well, just exclude 2008 and 9, and it's done. As simple as that. Okay. So there's visual aspects of Tableau Prep. It makes it really easy to work with data. And if we look at this, and what we just seen is that it gives you that complete picture of your data. You have those different sections where you have constantly an overview of everything. The mid section where you can work with the data set and do the changes, and the lower part where you see the data grid and a sample of your data so that you can easily see what's happened. There is also a pane for changes at every step, and something that Henk will show you in the next phase of the demo. But eventually, what we're doing is to also see all of the results immediately at every stage. We can see what happened. We don't need to go through the entire process to then visualize it and discover things that we may not wanted to have. We can change it instantly. And it really makes those complex tasks simple, right? Because we just saw me doing a join, a union. There's no coding. It's drag and drop, and it's really easy, especially for maybe those of you who are more like me on the business side and just want to clean up the data a bit.
All right. Great.
Next one is smart.
Yeah. It's time for some smart things. Thank you very much, Daniel. Yeah. You saw a lot of visual things, and Daniel was interacting with data. You see immediate results. You're doing something, and in the world where I was working with ETL, you have to create a table and then look into this table with some kind of SQL tool. Here you have immediate results. think this is very powerful and makes data prep really quick, and also it's fun. But there is much more, because if you look to the data is never perfect. You always have unclean data. And the problem is how to find this unclean data. You just saw Daniel, he was playing around with data, and you saw that code of NL, and he was fixing it. That was an example that he saw what was wrong. And that's very powerful, but also, wouldn't it be great if we have something smart that can help us? So, first of all, if you look to the smart pillar, it's all repeatable. It's built once and repeat many times. Just press the button and the whole process will be run, or even you can schedule this. But there is much more. And I want to go back to the example we are building. And let's take a closer look to this data set. First of all, here we have the country name column, and what you see here at the top, this is a little light bulb. This is a recommendation. And this recommendation will, this is some techniques behind it, and Tableau Prep will help you with a recommendation. So the recommendation is change the data role. You have the data roles of strings and numbers, but there is much more. Tableau Prep has a lot of extra data roles, like URL, website, and that kind of things, and also region. So based on the content of this data set, Tableau Prep suggests to change the data role to country. And okay, I think this is a good suggestion. And thanks to changing this data role, you will see now the quality of the data. So here are some data values with exclamation marks. And I can scroll through it, but I can also say, let's only watch the non-valid values. And first of all, for instance, here we see Kosovo, and there's a long text behind this. This data is coming from the European Commission, is open data, and for some reason there's a long text behind this. This is not right for us for analysis, so let's just remove the text. So I changed it, and now it's gone. So we have 3 countries left: England, Northern Ireland, and Scotland. Yes, regarding Tableau Prep, it's not a country, and we can, of course, argue about this, but I want to combine this into United Kingdom. I see another light bulb, so let's take a look to that new suggestion. And looking to this suggestion is exclude these rows. Okay. Exclude these countries. That's not very friendly, and I made already a bad joke, so we'll not make any jokes about Brexit and that kind of things. So let's immediately go to the next one. Let's just group it. Yes, that's what I want. So by grouping this, I'm combining these countries into one. So, and now I can give the name I want, so it's United Kingdom, and this is automatically seen as a valid country, of course. So now what you see is a grouping of multiple values, and also what Tableau Prep did. Tableau Prep decided that if there are new values with the name United Kingdom, it will also be automatically grouped into the United Kingdom. That's very smart. And we don't want to have any new null values into this. So all the countries are now valid. So I'm ready with it. So this is something very interesting, but there is much more. What we see here, this is the ICCS. This is the European crime classification. And if you go through the data, you see some unclean data. For instance, here I see intentional homicide and the same, but with a code behind it. For some reason, the ICCS code is behind this. But it should be 1. So for this, I can decide to clean this. And we have many clean options in Tableau Prep. It's under the clean menu. And for this, I just want to remove numbers from the values. So after removing numbers, the number is removed. It's still not combined together. Does anyone have any idea why? Yes, oh, you're really smart. Yes, there is a space behind it. So for this, we do an extra step, and that is remove extra spaces. And now we will see it's only 1 item. It's combined together. If we look any further into this data set, we see something strange, robbery and robbery. It's a typo, and it's a spelling error. That happens a lot. I think also at your company. Okay, with everything we show, think about how can I use this in my own company? Is this also happening in my own company? And yeah, these are the maybe free fields where you can type in, and this is a typo. And with the Tableau Prep, of course, I can edit this value, as you just saw, but there is something very nice, and this is what we call group and replace. And this means that there is an algorithm behind this, automatic spelling algorithm. So based on all the values, there is a spelling correction. So instead of changing 1 value, I can do it for all the values automatically. So, and what happens now, if we look to the result of robbery, so robbery consists of 2 members, robbery and robbery. And this is done automatically by Tableau Prep. What is happening behind the scene or under the hood? Because we are fixing spelling errors, like these kind of typos. And we use spelling corrections the whole day in word processors and emails and that kind of things. And there's something behind this. There's an algorithm behind this. Does anybody knows what the name is of this algorithm? No one. Daniel, you?
No idea.
No idea. Me neither. It does not matter, of course. But this is the famous Liebenstein algorithm, and this is used for correcting spelling errors. And the good news is, this is built-in the product. So thanks to this built-in algorithm, it's just 1 click. When I was building all kind of ETL data processing things, it was not in the product. You have to build it yourself, create calculations and that kind of things. So this is for values that are spelled alike for any supported language. And which languages do we support? We support English, UK English, American English, all kind of languages. Now, of course, we are in Europe, so there's much more. So, yes. So this is very powerful. Built-in, there's much more. If you look to this picture, Daniel, what do you see in this picture?
I remember I saw a green leaf first time.
You see a green leaf. Yeah, you're from Sweden. Everything is green. So, lots of rain, so everything is green. You're right, you see a green leaf, but there's much more. These are all leaves. Why? They have the same shape, the same structure. There's a lot in common. There's a slight difference, and that's the color. That's all. In the end, they have a lot in common, and they are all leaves. Same with these values. They have a lot in common. Numbers, characters, and we want to replace them, for instance, with underscores and that kind of things. And we can replace them thanks to the ngram fingerprint algorithm. This one is much, much more complex. Never heard about this one, but yeah, again, it's built into Tableau Prep, sorry, and we call this common characters. Okay, next one. This is different. This is not, you don't have a lot in common. Look to this one. Aston Martin. They don't have a lot in common, but they sound alike. That's different. No typo, not a lot in common, but they sound alike. And I have an example from this data set. So looking to, for instance, this one, kidnapping. We see kidnapping and kidnapping crime. They sound alike, and I want to replace them with only kidnapping. I don't need that word crime. And for this, I go to group and replace pronunciation. And what is happening now? You see kidnapping is grouped and replaced, but also I see some other items, like burglary. This is not the right moment, Siri. Sometimes devices can be too smart, I think. Burglary. So this is not what I want, because I want to keep that one. And I'm also able to make it more sensitive. So let's make this more strict, more sensitive. And what we see now, it's only kidnapping which is left. And this is what I want. So again, a lot of smart technology into Tableau Prep. Yeah. And yeah, just to give you a feeling about this, by the way, is the Metaphone tree algorithm. And there's a lot under the hood. Just to give you an impression, if you had to code this, script this is the code. It's a lot of code for just one click. Okay, I can keep on scrolling and scrolling. More than 7,000 lines of code for this. So yeah, it's quite smart. And back to that Aston Martin. When I was driving in an Aston Martin, my two daughters were sitting on the back seat, and I was driving, not on the Deutsche Autobahn, but on the Dutch highway. The max speed is, most of the time, something between 100 and 130. And my daughter said, "Daddy, what are you doing? This is a sports car, and this is nothing." They said, "Press the gas." And I thought, oh my goodness, this will be an expensive day. I'm from Holland. We don't like to spend money. So, but yes, I pressed the gas, and acceleration from 0 to 100 miles per hour in less than 10 seconds. That was unbelievable. So I was pressing the gas the whole day, of course. And it was amazing. But at the end of the day, it felt quite normal. Just, yeah, I had the feeling, yeah, this is normal, and this belongs to me, this kind of acceleration. But the next day, when I returned to Aston Martin and stepped back into my other car, it's not an Aston Martin, a normal car, normal European car, and then when I was pressing the gas, I had the feeling nothing was happening at all. Like the brakes were still on. And suddenly I realized I took it for granted at the end of the day, that acceleration. Sometimes it's so simple, there's so much, it's so easy that you took it for granted. And that's also what's happening with me with prep, because I was from that IT world, boring, scripting, and then just some clicking, but yeah, there's a lot behind this. Back to the model. So, I really want to know, how safe is your country? Let's find out. This is a good moment to preview this in Tableau Desktop. And at every moment in your flow, your data flow, you're able to watch the results. So let's find out. These are real numbers. Just drag country name now into the canvas. We see the countries of the European Union. And now let's put crimes on color. All right. So the man from Germany. Your country is dark. Sorry? You have to control how many people are in there. You are completely right. You're really smart. Yes. Okay, I was lying a little bit. Yeah, it is dark, but yes, there are a lot of people living in Germany. And also in France and the UK, so this is not really right. And yes, we have to include the number of citizens per country. That's what you want. Okay, let's do this. So, I have a nice data set with citizen per country. We did not practice this one. Yeah, thank you. So, what I see here is the number of citizens per country. So you see here all the countries and all the citizens. And we're gonna combine this. So I don't need this step. So let's undo that one and immediately join the results. So I'm joining now based on country name. And if you look to my join, what Daniel just said, he said, yeah, it will join on the same column name. But this is not exactly the same column name. So you see it's kind of the same algorithms used. If they are a little bit the same, they have some in common, it will also join on name. Of course, you can always change this. And on the roadmap is that we will join based on value. So completely different column names. Okay, this is good. And all right, so let's preview. Now, before we preview, let's take a closer look, because what I see here is more than I want. Let's assume I only want to see the crimes, the citizen, and the ratio per country. That's all. That's all I want to see. Nothing more. Let's create just a reduced set, an aggregated set, with only the information I want to see. And for that, you can add an aggregation step. So it's just a small data set what you are creating with only aggregated information. And for this, I am able now to group fields. And for people in the room, the real spreadhead kings, the spreadheads, Excel junkies and that kind of people, it's like a pivot table. So, country name, put it on groups, and we will have crimes, and we're gonna aggregate this, and I want to summarize this. That's good. And then we have the number of citizens. But for citizen, I don't want to summarize this because you have different granularity, different levels. And I don't want to have double counting. So for this, I take the average. Okay? Let's take a closer look to the results. So now I see per country name, the number of crimes, and number of citizens. Now, let's pre-calculate the ratio. So, this is my calculation editor. Does this look familiar to you? Yeah? You know it? Seen it before? Great. It's exactly the same you are using in Tableau Desktop. So I want to divide number of crimes by number of citizens. Great. And we call this ratio. Perfect. This is it. So let's find out. And based on the number of citizens, this is fair. What about the number of crimes, crime ratio for the current decade? So again, we're gonna look to countries, and now we're gonna put ratio on color. this is different. There's a big, big country, very dark, and if you can't read this, Daniel, I will put this on a better color scheme. This is dark red, Daniel. Numbers don't lie.
No comments.
No comments at all. Yeah, can imagine. But also, I am from the Netherlands, and we really like the orange color when we are playing football, but not in this context. So yeah, this is it. These are the numbers. All right, back to the last smart thing. Regarding joins, if you are connecting to a database, there can be predefined joins done by the DBA. You can use these predefined joins in Tableau Prep already. Just click on the table, click on the linked keys, and you can see the predefined relationships. Just select them. So what you have seen, smart recommendations, smart cleaning steps, automatic grouping with all these smart algorithms, and this is all the smart pillar. So you have seen some integration yet with Tableau Desktop, and it's up now to Daniel to show more.
Thanks for that. Yeah, so how is this now coming together? The good news with Tableau Prep is that it's all integrated in the Tableau platform. And you saw the example of Henk previewing also the results at every step that he needed to through Tableau Desktop. So it's all functioning with each other really well, but there's so much more to this. If we look back to Prep, the way we can finish this flow is to create an output step. So once we create the output, we have a number of options. We can run the flow through the Tableau Prep builder as it is. But that would obviously mean that you would run, potentially, if you would have a large data set, quite a lot of data set through this model on your laptop. You may not want to do that. So the alternative to this is to actually publish the whole Tableau flow onto Tableau server. It's more clever because if you do that, you can let the server do the heavy lifting for you. And how do we do that? We just say that we want to publish this to our Tableau server, where you can give it a name. This is, suppose that you have access to a certain place where you can obviously share it. So we're going to call it Demo Prep. And if I wanted so, I could also give it a description. So the actual flow has a description. And why would I do that? Once it goes on to Tableau Server is an environment where you share and collaborate. So you want people to maybe read that description, understand what that resulting data set will represent them. And that's really useful. You can share this flow, and then it can be reused for so many different purposes in that environment. Let's publish. So this is now being uploaded to our Tableau server. You can see that now I'm looking at that same flow through the web browser because that now sits on our server. So I have a number of options now. I can just select to run as a manual selection. You run the flow and it sort of runs through that whole model. You can run through millions and millions of rows of data through this and get an output. And alternatively, which you may want to do, is to schedule a task. And when we say scheduling a task, that means that you can make that process more repeatable by selecting a desired schedule to it. So you can say, maybe do that every night from 11 p.m. on a daily basis. Well, that's good. So I don't need to do that when there's a high traffic to my Tableau server. Don't need to impact potential end user performance. Just schedule this to run on a night. And every morning when people are logging into our server again, they will have that fresh data. So it's all integrated. And the best thing is also that you can monitor this. So if you are a owner of a flow, you can also set up an alert so that you receive that email, whether if something would go wrong. Say, for example, the flow is trying to run and it doesn't go well. you'll get an automatic alert, and you can go back and see what that reason is. So it's integrated. You stay in the flow all the time when you're working with your data, and you can schedule and share those flows. You create a job once, you run those flows on the server, and it can be reused for multiple purposes. And doesn't work. And there is a lot of governance around this. So as you would expect with any published data source on Tableau server, to be governed and secure for the right people to access, and you can control what they do with it. So in a similar way to all data sources that are being published, you can say, allow certain groups to see this or disallow them, and also what they can do with it. So there's a lot in it, and the visibility of successful versus unsuccessful flows. So with that, that's the final piece of our Tableau Prep and those 3 pillars that we have been looking at: visual, smart, and integrated. I hope you find it interesting. I certainly found it amazing first time I started to use Tableau Prep. So the question is, how do we get our hands on this?
Yeah, how to get it. Thank you. So I was really amazed when I used Tableau Prep the first time. Did you like it? Yes. Yeah, great, perfect, thank you. How to get it? You can download the trial on tableau.com/prep. Yes, that's the one. And you can play with it. You have all functionality to play with it. And yes, of course you can buy it. It's part of the Creator license. So Creator packages 3 products: Prep, Desktop, and 1 server license, online or on-prem. So that's a package. And also regarding Conductor, what you just saw from Daniel, scheduling on the server, that's an add-on. And there's much more in this add-on, what you saw this morning. So yeah, these are the possibilities. If you have Prep, if you have installed it, how to learn it, it's quite easy. I learned it within 1 hour. We have free training videos, 11 free training videos, tableau.com/learn. And we also have the live training. It's also for free. And we have the Tableau e-learning. That's almost for free. It's $10 per user per month. And also desktop 1, 2, and 3 is included. That's really to go into the deep, so you learn all the buttons and all the possibilities. Yeah.
It's really useful if you want to have, run through the training at your own pace. I mean, there's obviously classroom training as well.
Yeah.
I really like the e-learning because I can do it at my time whenever I can.
Yeah, definitely. There's also classroom training, but yeah, I'm from the Netherlands. We don't like to spend money, so this is almost for free. And the next big thing, what's on the roadmap? Yeah, there's much more connectors. Also, we're thinking about web edits for Tableau Prep, but there is something coming soon. Don't ask me when, but I've seen the first demos about it, and that's the R integration. And we are bringing together the world of data science and the world of data preparation together. So you saw great algorithms, but there are thousands and thousands of algorithms out, and you want to combine this in Tableau Prep, and that's possible. You can add a step, an R script step. You will connect to the R server, and you will be able to use predefined models and functions and to include them into your data prep. And so you can enrich your data and materialize your data using R. All right. So with that, this is the fundament of Tableau Prep. Visual, smart, integrated. We have a few minutes left for some questions.